Greetings! Welcome to another video. Welcome to another episode of Path to Perfection. Now, if you are on Twitter and you follow a lot of the FIFA community, you may have seen at some point that a lot of people in this community offer coaching services where people pay to hopefully get better at FIFA. The same way you'd sort of play for a guitar teacher, you can pay people to look back at your games of FIFA and give you advice and all that sort of stuff. Now, a lot of people offer this, but even more people have an opinion on whether this is a good or bad thing. End of the day though, if there is demand, supply will follow, and people will spend their money as they please. And as you may have seen from the title, we played a game against a pro player who is actually currently 90-0 in Foot Champions. I thought this was a good game, so I ended up sending the replay of this game after I played it to John from Foot Coaching, and we worked together on this game. He gave me some tips and I had a look at, how he does things, and honestly, I have to say I was absolutely blown away by the gameplay analysis he sent me back. Honestly, the depth that he went, the tools that he uses to analyze your gameplay and show you your tendencies, what to work on, what he thinks is best for you, is really cool. So much so that if you guys were looking for something like that, I'd highly recommend him. I don't usually recommend other people for other things because I just need to be like 150% sure, because it has to be something that I would go back and get myself, and I can definitely see myself going back in the future if I have the desire to do so. Go back to John and give him another match to analyze. That being said, back to the game. I want to go over the goals that happened in this game. A couple of plays and instances where I realized, thanks to the help of John, just a little glimpse of what he told me, because I'm obviously not going to share everything. That's going to stay between me and him. I gotta keep the tips he gave me a little under the radar because I don't want to give my gameplay away completely. Now, first things first, as you can see, my opponent, who obviously, like I said, is a pro player, has a team that matches his ability. Quite a scary team to have so early on in the game. One that, to say the least, highly outmatches me and my humble road to glory. We start off here with Jordi Alba, and more on him very soon. A little bit of a back and forth with Llorente, one of the best cheaper cards in the game, and here we lose it. So now you might be wondering, what are we looking at here exactly? One of the things that I spoke about with John in particular was my chance creation, because my defending was kind of on point, my build-up was kind of on point. A lot of the passes that I play are really good, not a lot of error, but definitely a lot to be desired in my gameplay has to do with chance creation, regardless of how bad my team may or may not be. And one thing that we both agreed on was the use of fullbacks. Now, in the past, I've kind of limited myself to using my fullbacks because I used to do it a bit too much to the point where it would hinder me. But I think we've gotten to a point where I need to incorporate them. This doesn't mean to put them in balanced or whatever, but here, as you can see, this was one of the few attacks where I actually pulled my fullback this far ahead, and it was actually such a good opportunity that I didn't even realize it, because if we fast forward a little bit, I could have just easily done a simple through ball or a cheeky little over the top. There's tons of space between his fullback and center back, and these are the sort of moments that happen if you overcommit just a little bit with your fullbacks. Obviously, it's a risky game because if you do lose the ball, you're kind of screwed, but if you play it right, you can force yourself into numerical superiority, because most people who never use their fullback would have the ball in the situation with their winger or outside cam, which essentially doesn't give you the same firepower. If you can manage to get into the situation with your fullback, you've got your winger / outside cam and one of your midfielders ready to receive the ball, as opposed to one of those two having to give the ball themselves. Moving on though, here we see we have a nice read / he has a poor pass. Give it off to Dembele, little 1-2, useless elastico because we really don't know what to do. Luckily, he wasn't selecting the defender close to Dembele, back into Dembele, turn and bop. A little bit of a dodgy pass there, I have to say so myself. But in essence, we did well to not rush the play, take our time until the very last fraction of the seconds, because we are talking about fractions of a second in the box when you've got Van Dijk who can tackle you any second. I'm not going to lie, I remember holding L2 here to do a flare pass, so I was expecting a back heel from Dembele. Works out in the end, so luck was on our side. And then the final touch, as you can see here, when the ball does get to Son, I noticed that he's moving his keeper left, right. It's Spider-Man in goal. So we take a deep breath, and while we're shooting, we make one final adjustment to move it far post because he had moved his keeper near post. And these are just small details that you always have to keep track of, especially at a high level, because every detail counts for every single goal. Now, the way he equalizes was kind of tough for me to deal with, but there are some learning points for sure for me. Starts off with the goal kick for him. He steals the ball, obviously a bit slow here with my fullback. We were just talking about fullbacks. Funny how that works. Anyways, he brings it back to the center. We do a good job of doing a offside trap. Eventually, he works it in with Garincha. We're trying to micromanage everyone. We go from the fullback to the CM to the center back. Eventually, we get Jordi Alba to finally run into him. We're really scared, obviously. We could be a little bit more aggressive, but obviously easier said than done against a really top player who loves skills. Clear it out, gets another corner. Aitor, our keeper, heads it out. Again, he stays with the ball. Valverde tackles him, goes back to him, and we're really struggling here. We do really well with Varane here to track it, stop the shot, high ball to Son, maybe just hoof it instead of trying for the pass, which would have given us a little bit more breathing room, and then obviously he finds the goal this way. We just couldn't get out of the chokehold, and so it's kind of tough for me to say anything, especially because, like, how can I really tell myself, oh, this is like complete? I mean, there's always something I can work on, but it was a tough situation because when someone's got such a high level and such a better team than you, they can really choke you in your half and you seem to not be able to do anything. The moment I concede is right here. As you can see, by the time Neymar gets the ball, I'm still selecting my Llorente, but I should have been selecting my fullback and tried in any way, shape, or form to put myself in between the passing lane. If not that, move him back. If I can't cut the passing lane, move him back and track his Garincha, because at that point, had I selected my Alba just a little bit earlier, these are the fractions of a second that make a difference. I could have been there early enough to when he shot. Obviously here we did a Hail Mary, moving your keeper situation. We moved him to cover the far post, but somehow he shot near post and he gets the draw. Into the second half we go. As you can see here, I was forced to use my fullback in a throw-in, and it leads to a good situation here, which we kind of fumble about because obviously Lucas was offside. But again, using the fullback, it creates the situations, right? It gives you the numbers advantage. And by the time we get to Hazard, here is a really tough situation to deal with in this game because the blocks are so good in this game that even this much space can make you doubt yourself. In hindsight, I should have just shot far post, right? But then again here, I always have the worry that his Mendy is gonna block my shot. Alternatively, I could as well just have first time passed it to Lucas. At that point, he hopefully would have received the ball in a more timely manner, not being offside and being able to first time shoot it. Finally here with Llorente into Valverde, back and forth into Son. We're in the middle. He overcommits, a nice little ball into Son. Obviously, we get really lucky here to get the rebound. But all in all, in this situation, I felt like we did really good to bait him. I'm not sure if that was an auto lunge. If it was, unlucky for him, but the space was there. We picked it out really well. Alternatively, I could have risked the first time pass downwards into my other striker, but I felt like that was really just pushing it, especially because it probably would have been blocked by his Varane. Here we have some defense that turns into offense. Here, as you can see, we have our Varane selected and his Mbappe is wide open. So we do a really good job here before the pass gets to his other midfielder, who is eventually obviously going to pass it to Mbappe. We're selecting Varane and we jockey to the left to cover that pass, which gives us a nice little manual interception. And from there, we can get it cracking on the counterattack because obviously he's going all out 78th minute. He's going to give us tons of space, which we do. We feed it into Son, and the cherry or the icing on this cake, whatever you want to call it, ball roll, turn to the left as he moves his keeper right, and we seal it. And we do perfectly the execution in this counterattack. And so the game ends there. We were very clinical. We did a very good job to block as many of his shots as we humanly could. It was a really tough game. Probably one of those games that I'll win like 1 out of 5, maybe 10 times at this stage of FIFA with the team difference, but we were lucky enough. Just a division rivals match after all doesn't really mean anything. But I hope you guys learned a few things here or there by some of the key scenarios right there. Let me know your thoughts and let me know if you're going to go and check out John's Foot coaching page. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.